Welcome to Electrified. It's your host, Dylan Loomis. So for those of you looking for my thoughts on Andre Karpathy leaving, you can check the timestamps below to jump right to it, but I have a few things that I want to get to before getting there. First up, just a few analyst updates. Adam Jonas dropped his Tesla price target $50 to $11.50, citing slowing growth and higher credit risk. And I'm not sure what he's referring to for either of these, and don't say Q2 because that's already in the rearview mirror. For Tesla's financial results on July 20th, Dan Levy at Credit Suisse is now expecting $1.31 earnings per share, and the analyst consensus is sitting at $1.86. And Truist analyst William Stein has picked up coverage, initiating at $1,000 per share, and I won't read you the analysis because we all already know this. Yesterday we talked about how Tesla asked for permission to sell some of those 2,000 pre-production vehicles. Well, fast forward to today, and apparently they have permission. Tesla is now free to process bodies that were created during the period of testing the operational capability and to sell them if they are marketable. It was not reported how many of that around 2,000 that were created may actually be sold to customers. If I had to guess, I'd say in the neighborhood of 1,000. Just a reminder, when you're talking to people that don't know much about Tesla, don't start talking about 4680s and neural nets. Focus on things like this, dog mode, that many people can relate to and get excited about. Jordan at The Limiting Factor released a video talking about some of the specs of this new 4680 cell teardown, so I went ahead and summarized those, but definitely if you have the time, go watch the video and support Jordan. But in case you don't have the time, here are the takeaways. This is a cell from around 6 months ago, so it's not the latest iteration. They are using dry battery electrode on the anode, but not on the cathode. This cell is still using cobalt, and it's a nickel manganese cobalt 811 type chemistry. And with these next two figures, Jordan said these were calculated numbers, not from actually cycling the cell, and that these are not something to hang our hats on. Either way though, expecting energy density between 272 and 296 watt hours per kilogram, and for total energy looking at between 96 and 99 watt hours per kilogram. And the last two, so Jordan said that this 4680 cell had two handicaps. First, it has a thicker shell than the 2170s, which hurts the energy density due to the higher weight, and these cells are not using any silicon, while the 2170 cells are, and that gives them a 5 to 10% energy density boost. And Jordan said Tesla is overcoming these 10 to 15% energy density handicaps, mainly by using thicker electrodes, and a lot more to come on future videos. Last night, Elon gave us an update on the FSD Beta, saying 10.13 goes to internal beta tomorrow, which is now today, external next week. Should handle Chuck's complex left turn, more on that in a second. Beta V11 hopefully end of next month, which just amounts to incorporating highway. Importance of V11 has been reduced by all of the 10 dot releases. We're already mostly at V11, so Elon kind of trying to downplay our expectations for version 11, which have been building over the past few months. In case you're not familiar with Chuck Cook's famous left turns, here is a video of it, and I'll include a link to his channel below. Now, mainly the importance of this V11 was going to bring highway driving into the FSD single stack neural net. Currently, it's been switching to the old autopilot stack to do this highway driving. So with V11, we are still expecting that they will have the FSD stack working pretty well, if not better than autopilot when driving on the highway. Recently, we heard about Tesla working on its virtual power plant in California, and it's doing the same thing in Texas and has been for some time. The latest update earlier this week, Tesla's US energy markets policy lead, Arushi Sharma Frank, participated in a workshop by the two regulatory bodies. She shared Tesla's initial principles on scope and considerations for a pilot program. Still very early days, and the next meeting is set for July 28th. This program should allow Powerwall customers to send excess energy to the grid and actually be compensated for doing so, which overall will just help with the stability of the Texas grid. Most of you know when I pick sponsors for the channel, I try to bring you a discount and a product or a service that enhances or improves your life. This is part of why I've linked up with Birch Mattress, the sponsor of today's video. Birch is a premium mattress in a box company that makes mattresses and sleep products that are stylish, comfortable, and environmentally conscious. Listen, if you live to age 75, on average you will spend 25 years of it sleeping, and hopefully it will be on a mattress and not in the doghouse. So why Birch? Well, they're premium and sustainable, ensuring their materials are produced and harvested sustainably. Birch's Luxe line, which is what Ash and I went with, is made of organic cashmere, wool cotton, and 100% natural latex, created with cooling and support in mind. Ashley will tell you my body is like a furnace when I sleep, so Birch's focus on breathability is key for me, and this mattress was a breeze to set up, could not have been easier. Birch will deliver your mattress right to your door for free in the United States. And with Birch, you also get a 100-night sleep trial and a 25-year warranty. So if you use my link in the description below, Birch has offered Electrified subscribers $400 off a mattress and 2 free EcoRest pillows that are actually made out of recycled bottles. And if you know anybody else that's looking for a mattress, feel free to share that link with them as well. Thank you to Birch for sponsoring today's video. So now for my thoughts on Andre leaving. Before I get into it, I just want to say, regardless of which side of this debate you personally fall on, I would just advise caution being too dogmatic with those thoughts, and I'll explain why. So the tendency here is to try to get into Andre's head and speculate. Why did he leave? What does it imply about the status of autopilot and Tesla's vision-only approach? I personally would stay away from doing this because although it's very tempting, the truth is we have no idea. And even an assumption that feels right and makes logical sense from the outside could be completely wrong when it comes to the truth of what Andre was considering. And look, I'll just say it. It should not take Andre leaving to be able to see that Tesla's FSD really isn't close or on the brink of being robotaxi ready. FSD handles some challenging situations incredibly well and definitely impresses me a lot of the time. However, there's still that, whatever you want to call it, 1% of situations that need to be figured out, and it just feels to me, based on watching all the videos, that it's going to take a few years to actually work all of those out in a reliable fashion. Ultimately though, yes, this is a big loss for Tesla, and there's really no way around that. I mean, the guy was clearly born to do this work with a last name like Karpathy. I don't want to try to spin this in a positive light because net, it is a clear negative to me. But it is also true that Tesla has other rock stars like Ashok and many more, which will carry Tesla's autopilot team forward, as they have been for the past 4 months when Andre was on sabbatical. Ashok is a legend in his own right with a bunch of patents of his own, and there are plenty of other hungry engineers looking to make a name for themselves. This could ultimately be a good thing to get some fresh ideas and perspective on issues that the team has been facing. Hopefully we can learn a little bit more about some of these other people at Tesla's next AI Day later this year. Lastly, for those of you wanting me to speculate here, it's just not hard to imagine Andre, who is now most likely financially free, realizing on his sabbatical that his passions and interests are pulling him somewhere else, and he does not want to go back to the pressure cooker that is being a software developer working alongside Elon Musk. Andre has definitely made and left his mark on Tesla. We're very grateful for what he's done for the team, but this unstoppable force that is Tesla truly does stop for no man. You could also argue that Tesla's machine learning recruiting capabilities could take a slight hit because there were definitely people that would have loved to work alongside Andre. He's kind of a big deal in that space. But then the question becomes, well, where else would these people rather go? Wouldn't they still want to work at Tesla with all of the other projects going on? And Elon and Ashok. But yes, ultimately this is a big loss. However, at the end of the day, I do want Andre to pursue his passions, and life is bigger than just Tesla. So hopefully he's happy doing whatever he ends up doing next. Moving on, Ford and SK have finalized deals for a joint venture to build batteries in the United States, which is great to hear. This will establish a battery plant for EVs in Tennessee and 2 other facilities in Kentucky. Both companies signed a memorandum of understanding in May last year, and this Blue Oval facility is expected to produce about 60 gigawatt hours of power annually, which could be raised further. Ford is expected to contribute up to $6.6 billion in capital over a 5-year period ending in 2026. You may have seen there was a study done by a nonprofit talking about the Hummer EV actually being dirtier than some ICE cars because of the size of the battery pack, and GM actually responded but didn't really deny the study. The study done by the American Council of an Energy Efficient Economy, a nonprofit, showed that the over 9,000 pound Hummer EV produced around 341 grams of CO2 per mile driven compared to a gas-powered Chevy Malibu, which emits around 320 grams. How is this possible with no tailpipe emissions? Well, the study said given the 200 kilowatt-hour battery packs for the Hummer, since 60% of electricity in the United States is generated from fossil fuels, it has a larger carbon footprint than some vehicles with internal combustion engines. Responding to that study, a GM spokesperson said this: "The study ignores the real-world importance and benefit of bringing to market performance-oriented EVs like the GMC Hummer. The Hummer EV is accomplishing more in bringing EV skeptics into the EV fold than any of these glass half-empty criticisms ever will." We got some new performance specs for the upcoming Ioniq 6 from Hyundai, and I'll just say it, if they can pull off some of these numbers, this car could definitely make some waves. This car is expected to start at $42,000 US with a range of 380 miles. Now we'll see where it sits when the EPA gets its hands on it, but that would be a big number. It will come in two battery pack options, a 53 kilowatt hour or a 77.4. It's set to begin production in South Korea later this year, but the US market launch is expected in the first quarter of next year. And listen to this, from January to May of this year, if you exclude China, Hyundai and Kia are already the second biggest EV shippers globally with a 13.5% market share, which was second to only Tesla based on those same geographies, which was at 22%. Here we have McLaren and BMW discussing a joint EV supercar, but it's not just some hypercar, they're also talking about a crossover. The two car makers would develop a supercar and crossover, each of which would have its own variant for the respective brands. Early discussions are saying that McLaren would provide a carbon fiber chassis and BMW would provide the electric motors, batteries, and the software, with the car to be built in the UK. Rather than have one car with two different badges, this report is saying the joint project would birth two distinct supercars running on the same platform, but each with their own exterior and interior designs for each brand. We have a new EV startup called Lightship, started by some former Tesla engineers that will be working on electrifying the RV space. Lightship is not only trying to design and produce an electric travel trailer that ditches propane tanks and generators, but they're also trying to remove a barrier for owners of all electric SUVs and trucks who just want to haul a travel trailer on long road trips. So far, across 3 rounds, the company has raised $27 million, and they're expecting to use these funds to double the team by the end of this year and develop an alpha prototype of the Lightship. Many will love this. Their goal is definitely to create a super satisfying long-range EV road tripping experience. They'll attempt this with their secret sauce being in the powertrain, which includes a battery pack comparable to a Model 3 that will actually propel the trailer as it's being towed. Lightship is also exploring the integration of solar cells on the roof for passive charging. You can now log into Tesla's Say website and ask and vote for different questions that you would like to be asked during the financial call that's upcoming July 20th. The two most popular so far: when is the stock split and how is Tesla going to deal with all of the FUD? Followed closely by FSD progress and the impact of Andre leaving, and when will the Cybertruck be available? So pretty understandable questions. This will be linked below. You probably saw the Panasonic news building a $4 billion battery factory in Kansas. Just wanted to highlight this is the largest private investment in Kansas history. Hopefully we'll learn more about the production capacity in the weeks to come. Following in the footsteps of the BMW i3, it looks like the Nissan Leaf will also be phased out by mid-decade. Nissan does not plan to bring out a next generation Leaf and instead will replace it with a new model more tuned to the needs of the modern EV buyer. GM has partnered with Pilot Locations and EVgo to further build out an EV charging infrastructure. The companies will install a total of 2,000 fast chargers at 500 of Pilot's locations along American highways at intervals of around 50 miles. They expect to have a significant portion of these chargers installed and operating by the end of next year. The chargers will be installed, operated, and maintained by EVgo, providing up to 350 kilowatts of power, as well as having charging stalls designed to accommodate EVs that are towing trailers, and they will be open to all electric vehicles compatible with DC fast charging. Don't forget to check out Birch mattress linked below to get $400 off and 2 free pillows. And if you're not looking for a mattress, please feel free to share it with friends or family who are. Please take a second to like the video if you did. Hope you guys have a wonderful day, and a huge thank you to all of my Patreon supporters.